Hello to all participants. I would like to introduce you the material concerning two prerequisites for improving crop irrigation regimes on the basis of resource optimization. The authors are Prykhodko Nataliia, Rokochinский Anatolій, and Volk Pavlo from the National University of Water and Environmental Engineering. The existing global problems related to climate change, food, water, and energy crises pose a need for the global community, including Ukraine, to adapt to the existing challenges and risks and to increase the efficiency of all spheres of economic activity in relation to the current variable conditions and requirements. Included irrigated agriculture, especially in the context of increasing water and energy scarcity. With the beginning of the full-scale war, Ukraine's agriculture production, water management and reclamation infrastructure faced significant demand and destruction. Also after the Russian terrorists attacked on the Kakhovka hydroelectric power plant, the problem of water scarcity for irrigation became even more critical and dangerous. In this regard, achieving and maintaining the country's food security in the face of a critical scarcity of necessary resources requires the implementation of nature-based and ecologically efficient solutions to increase irrigation efficiency, in particular through the development of regime, technological and technical resource-saving measures and means that should be based on the saving of water and energy resources to provide irrigation of crops. Over the last years, the tendency of purposeful reduction of water consumption for irrigation has been increasing in the United States. When farmers consciously save scarce and expensive water and energy resources, even if it means not getting the expected yields of the cultivated crops. Similar practice being applied in China through the introduction of so-called deficit irrigation. At the same time, this is done in the practical lack of research-based recommendations for the implementation of such approach, which should be based on the study the effect of reducing the consumption of used resource on the productivity of cultivated crops and the assessment of the rate of these changes. The idea that due to unequal distribution of the same amount of irrigation water in the same year it's possible to obtain significantly different yields was investigated by Bulgarian scientists Crafty and Koto in early 1970, when the task of optimizing crop irrigation regimes was actually being formulated. Based on the results of a field experiment, they studied the impact of different irrigation regimes on the corn yield in the case of water lack in relation to the timing of watering. They considered three options of irrigation regimes, with the consideration of watering at the beginning, in the middle, and at the end of the growing season accordance. The obtained results are quite indicative. Under the conditions of conceleration, the fast watering at the beginning of the growing season, the ratio of actual yield to the control variant is 0.67. When under the conditions of conceleration of the third watering at the end of the growing season is 0.93. Similar research is described in the collaborative work in 2014 of American and Chinese scientists who studied similar processes based on the results of a field experiment with its later computer simulation based on the obtained data. The aim was to study different irrigation scenarios at different levels of water deficit for irrigation. However, this issue requires further study, primarily with regard to the possibility of a long-term predictive evaluation of the investigated processes in relation to the variable conditions and requirements. Therefore, the purpose of the presented research is predictive simulation, reproduction of the idea of the field experiment by Crafty and Koto for our conditions in the Kherson region on the example of perennial grasses as the most moisture-loving crop of crop rotation. The basis of this experiment is the corresponding developed software complex which allows further implement a predictive assessment of the impact of reducing water and energy resources during irrigation on the productivity of cultivated crops in the conditions of increasing scarcity of irrigation water due to climate change, as an extremely serious problem of our time in irrigated agriculture. As the main research options were considered a set of irrigation regimes that differ in the consistent concentration of watering in different periods of the growing season of the perennial grasses. The summary results of the implemented machine experiment according to the above research options are presented in the slide. These data clearly show the nature of the impact of water consumption of crop yields in relation to the timing of watering. The impact of water reduction in the second half of the growing season is particularly pronounced when the yield losses are significantly lower than at the beginning of the growing season under the similar conditions. The main conclusions of the research are presented in the slide. The obtained results and the availability of a set of optimization, economic mathematical, and forecasting simulation models creates prerequisites for optimizing of the crop irrigation regime as the background for increasing the efficiency of irrigation and agriculture production in relation to the modern variable conditions and requirements. Thank you for your attention.